So more recent history, that was the early history. More recent history, since it was founded as a national party in 2000, there's been a presidential campaign every year to various degrees. Those presidential campaigns, a lot of folks misunderstand. They say, like, why are you running a presidential campaign if you don't think you can win or whatever? And there's a lot of reasons behind it, tactical and strategy wise, but also many states, in order for you to run down ballot candidates, you have to run a presidential candidate. So, there's all kinds of rules that we're trying to work our way around here. So there's a lot of strategy. And of course, that means debate that goes into it about what the best way to run a campaign is. So most recently we had Howie Hawkins and Angela Walker as our campaign. And, probably soon after the midterms, you'll start hearing about the Green primaries for 2024. So some quick stats. There's been over 1,300 folks that have been elected as Green Party members to various offices. Most of them have been local office, so they've been like school boards or like small city councils and things. But there have been a few that have been elected to state office, for example, although I don't think there are any currently in office. I think the ones that did get elected have retired. But, it's possible because it's been done in the past. So we really need to build our movement and in particular, build more local offices because that's where our base is, so that we can build up to more state offices and things like that. And historically, that's what other parties, the Socialist Party and stuff, that's what they did. They started with local offices. They got thousands of people elected to local office, and then that turned into, hundreds elected at the state level. And then they started getting people in Congress. They started to have a lot of influence, and that was one of the factors that pushed, the New Deal and reform and all, right? The capitalist parties being afraid of an independent party winning, a lot of support. So.
First, they co-opted, and then they purged with the Red Scare, right? They came in with the New Deal, and they took socialist ideas, they watered them down, and they implemented them, which kind of hurt the socialist movement because some of the things that they, advocated for were now, enacted in law. And then as soon as, the war was over, we entered the Red Scare. And anyone who remained in those independent, socialist parties was now subjected to political attacks and political violence and blacklisting and all of those things. So, the rise of the socialist left in the pre-war period in the early 1900s led directly to, the moves that were taken by those in power to squash the left in the United States for 3/4 of a century at this point.
Yeah. But that independent organizing, the Socialist Party, and then we talked about the civil rights movement, the environmental movement, the anti-nuclear movement, feminist movements, and things like that. The common thread through all of them were that they were independent movements that did their own independent action. They did not ally themselves with the Democratic Party in general. That they were pushing their own independent action, and many of them even started talking about independent politics. I think. One of Martin Luther King's last speeches, he started talking about, like, maybe we need our own independent party to pursue democratic socialism because we're not getting it from the Democrats. And so you see this theme through history that it's the independent folks that always push change and push the new ideas out into the public debate where, it starts to become, become the public discussion and then people demand it. And then that's what ends up happening. So being an independent political party and activist organization is highly critical to getting these new ideas out, especially in a time period when the differences between Republicans and Democrats are, slimmer than ever. Back in the day, they at least used to pretend a little bit more with supporting a New Deal, and they don't even do that anymore. So anyway, so that's a little bit off topic, but, the Green Party, we've elected, over 1,300 people to office. And so Greens do win. In fact, very often do win when they run for local office. It tends to not be as partisan, and, you don't have the millions of dollars being spent like if you run for Congress or whatever, right? If Greens organize in their community and they talk to their neighbors and they talk about the issues, the Green New Deal and everything, and corruption in the Republican and Democratic Party, that resonates with everyone, and Greens win and get on the ballot. So we have won, we can win, and we will win, especially if more folks jump into the party and help organize and volunteer and even consider running for office yourself. Even if it's something like school board or whatever, don't let them don't let the media convince you that like only Congress matters or whatever, because a lot of important things happen at local levels too, and that's something we have to always keep in mind as we go.